Good morning and welcome to my kitchen. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about the KP tools with you because I love them and I use them every day in my cooking and my baking, with prepping meals. Yeah, they're just really handy everyday household items. So the KP tools are really durable, and they are heat resistant up to 200 degrees Celsius as well. So you can use them during your cooking, you can use them on the stove top, over the gas, and things like that. Just don't ever leave them in the pot if you're not using them. So they're fine for whisking and stirring and things like that, but if you leave them in the pot while you're cooking, it does seem to get too hot and they can melt. I have learned this from experience. Okay. The KP tools are durable, they won't scratch any of your cookware, so they are perfect to use in your non-stick, your metals, your stainless steels, any coated cookware. These will not scratch, so they are perfect for every single piece of cookware that you use in the kitchen. So I've got just a few here to show you. So the microplaner, which I love, I use all the time. Whenever I'm making white sauces, I use fresh nutmeg. So this is perfect for grating that into my dishes. It's also great for your sharp, hard cheeses for pasta dishes like parmesan and things like that. So really handy. I love the whisk. So as you can see, it's an open-ended whisk. It isn't closed. It doesn't connect, and that means for cleaning up, it is so much easier because you can get right in there. You can clean everything off your whisk better handles, or whatever these things are called. So it's really handy, and also for your thicker batters that you might use this with, because it's not metal, they're not going to bend out of shape and become difficult to use and not very effective. It's always going to keep its shape, and it's going to move through the liquids easier. And when you are making thick batters, this KP spoon is amazing. So you can see it's got the hole in the middle. So when you've got thicker batters, with the hole, you get less resistance because obviously the batter will go through the hole as you're mixing. So folding batters and things like that is a lot easier. Also, handy tip, you can use this as a serving for pasta. Put your dry pasta through the hole into the pot, and then you've got an awesome serving size as well. So little tip there. And these are really handy in the kitchen. So they've got the little hole so you can hang them if you have any of your hook displays for your kitchen utensils. You can hang them there. Otherwise, they store really well in drawers as well. Okay, so today I thought, seeing as I'm been talking about some of the KP tools, I'm going to make some pancakes. So I'm going to be using my open-ended whisk to make my pancakes, and I'll share my recipe with you. So let's crack on with it. Right, so I'm ready to make pancakes with you. So I've got my sieve and my good old Tupperware mixing bowl. So I need flour, about 1 cup. It is a bit of a guesstimation recipe that I've been using this recipe for years now, so it's all kind of about approximately how much to put in of everything. Now my pancakes are probably not true pancakes. They're kind of a mix between pancakes and crepes. So they're not as fat as pancakes, but they're not as thin as crepes. They're somewhere in the middle. So about 1 cup of flour, and then 1 teaspoon of baking powder. And then you just sieve that in. So sieve it so that you don't get any lumps. Okay, and then you just want to use your KP whisk and make a well in the centre of the flour to put your eggs in. So it's about 1 or 2 eggs, so it depends on the size of your eggs, for how many you use. So I usually use 2. I also prefer a runnier mixture because, again, it makes a thinner batter. So if you prefer your pancakes a little bit fatter, again, use 1 egg and you'd use less milk. So you just start whisking the eggs into the flour. So always whisk in the middle and just let the flour gradually mix in with the eggs. If you mix from the outside and mix it all in together, you'll end up getting lumps of flour, whereas if you do it gradually, it mixes in really nicely together. So you'll end up using about 300 to 400 mils of milk, but again, I just pour it in until I get the right consistency. So I'll show you, once it's mixed, I'll show you what that consistency is. Okay, so now that you can see it started mixing in, and I'm getting to the edges, you can start going a little bit wider with your mixing and bringing it in from the sides of the bowl. Again, don't do it all at once because you don't want lumpy bits of flour in your batter. It is not nice when you go to eat a pancake and you bite down on a lump of flour which just explodes in your mouth, really. Okay, so I want a bit more milk. So you can see it is quite a runny mixture, because, and that's how you get them quite thin, like a crepe, but they're thick enough to hold. And then you just want to whisk all the bubbles out, just to give it a good whisk to make sure there aren't any hidden lumps of flour. If you see any, just whisk them through. You do want to have some bubbles, some aeration on the top, because it'll make your batter nice and light. So you can see it is a light batter, so it will just, so you can see it is a thin batter, so it is going to spread out really nicely in your saucepan. Okay, so when my batter is ready for my pancakes, I always pour it into a mixing bowl. It just makes it easier and cleaner when you're pouring it into your saucepan to make your pancakes. So pour the batter in there. Okay, so you want your frying pan to be over a medium to low heat. So I use a non-stick, but I add a little bit of butter. You don't need the butter for non-stick, but I just like it because it adds a little bit of flavour. It makes your pancake go a little bit golden brown and a little bit crunchy, so it's got a little bit of a crunch on the outside, and it's soft and tender in the middle. Okay, so swirl your butter around, so as it melts, then you just pour in your batter, so it will just evenly spread out. Don't pour it in to fill the frying pan, because to keep your pancake thin, you want to fill it about half to 3/4 of the frying pan, and then just swirl it around like so, to coat the inside of the frying pan. And then we wait for it to cook. So it's ready to flip. So you can either, it should wiggle around a little bit, so you just loosen it from the bottom and it will wiggle, so you can either use your spatula to scoop it up and flip it, or you can attempt to be brave and flip it. There you go. And just cook the other side. So this side will only take about 30 seconds, depending on how thick you've got the pancake to cook, because it's already nearly cooked all the way through. You're just browning up the top. So these pancakes are really great because they don't have a whole lot of flavour. It is your flavour vehicle, if you will. So you can put anything on it, like I quite like maple syrup and bacon, or golden syrup, or fresh fruit, with a ginger syrup's really nice, or peaches and cream, that's always good. But they also lend themselves to being savoury because they are your basic mixture. So you could do a creamy mushroom sauce and put them in there and serve it as a savoury dish. You could do a different take on taco. Instead of having your tortilla, have a soft pancake wrap with your savoury mince. These are great in kids' lunch boxes, especially if you're trying to get more fruit into them. Just chuck them in their lunch box and wrap up some fruit in the middle, and they will gobble it down at lunch. Okay, so keep going. Now I put them in my warming drawer in the oven to keep them warm. So the plate I put in to begin with before I start cooking, so the plate heats up a little bit, and that way the pancakes, when I put them on there, they're not going to cool down. They're going to stay warm. And then in the warming drawer, obviously, it keeps the heat. So you don't want them to keep cooking, but you do want them to stay warm if you're not going to eat them straight away. Now, the batter, if you don't use it all in one go, which I suggest you do because they're yum, and you can leave these in the fridge once they're cooked for a couple of days, they'll be fine. But the batter will also last in the fridge for a day or so. It will just get a bit thicker from if you store it in the fridge. So you may just want to leave it out to until it warms up a bit, or add a little bit more milk to thin it down, or use it thicker, and your pancakes will turn out more like hotcakes because they're thicker. They will, because the mixture is thicker, your pancake will be thicker as well. So, ready to flip. Oh, that wasn't a good flip. Try that again. Oh, I'm glad the first one turned out. Okay, so again, it only takes about 30 seconds. You just want it to brown up on the other side. Okay, what is your go-to breakfast for spoiling yourself? I love pancakes, they're easy, or waffles. My dad actually taught me how to make, myself and my sister, how to make pancakes when we were little, and he'd make them for us for special occasions, like birthdays, or if it was a special Saturday, or he was home. And my mum always did pikelets or waffles. So I'm quite fortunate that both my parents have shared all their wisdom and taught me how to bake and cook. Okay, the last pancake is good to go, so I'm going to add that to our stack. Okay. Take these out. And there you go. A delicious hot stack of pancakes. Yum. So I'm going to dress these up and eat them. So see you guys later. Give it a go. You won't regret it.